Good morning, guys. I'm Kim Trathen, business and marketing coach. And today's live is, I titled it, From Showing Up to Blowing Up Your Income. So I'm going to give a minute here for some people to hop on. If you're catching the replay, let me know, drop the word replay. I'm super excited to chat with you this morning, chat with you ladies this morning. We got some good stuff that we're going to cover. So I'm just going to get set up here. Looks like we have some people hopping on. Drop me a hello. If you're hopping on live, drop me a hello and tell me where you're watching from. I always love knowing where people are. It looks like we got a few people on. Hi, Lindsay. I can't see the other names, so drop me a hello. I also like to make sure that my comments are working. So drop me a hello, and then I can also see that the comments are working. Hi, Magdalena. Hello, hello. Hi, Melissa. Yay, we got some ladies hopping on. We're going to start with a little song this morning. This is one that I think it's an oldie but a goodie. Okay, let's say that. And ladies, I got my hair done yesterday. Did you notice I'm darker? All right, we're going to start with a little jam here. Oh, Melissa, you're in New Jersey. Awesome. Let's see, can you guys hear it? Oh, every time I close my eyes, I see my name in shiny lights. Anybody else still rock out to this song? Is it just me? Oh, I swear. Hi, Crystal. But when I'm a billionaire, show like Oprah, I would be the host of Everyday Christmas. Get trivia wish list. Come on, ladies, drop me hello. Tell me where you're watching from. Ain't never had shit. Hey, thanks. Here, lady, have this. But last but not least, grant somebody their last wish. It's been a couple months that I've been single, so you can call me Travis Claus minus the ho-ho. I probably visit where Katrina hit, and damn sure do a lot more than FEMA did it. Yeah. All right, we can't play music for too long. We could have a very long dance party, but Facebook will shut you down. I think I've mentioned that before to you guys. So I love starting out with a little jam fest, but we are ready to get started. All right, ladies, if you have questions today on the live, be really specific, okay? Even if we've chatted before, I might not remember what kind of business you run or what clients you serve. So include that if that's something that I need to know, okay? Sound good? All right, ladies, let's get started. Yeah, Melissa said, yeah, well, yeah, Facebook is pretty picky about that. So today's live is from showing up to blowing up your income. Okay, the reason I put this live stream together is I know this is something that I struggled with early on in my business, and I've heard this from a lot of people, right? They know their niche, they're posting every day, they're on their social media, they're emailing their list, but they are freaking broke. And I quick jotted down a little list right before we get started, and here is the difference, ladies. This is why it's really important. Number one, anytime you're working in your business, and you are focused on certain things, there should be a return on your investment, period. If there is zero return on it, then something isn't working for you, okay? Something's not working if you are not getting a return on your investment. That includes your time investment. Your time is your most valuable commodity, always and forever. It is your most valuable commodity. We can never make more of it. We can never get more of it. Once it's gone, it's gone. So when you're spending time on social media, something I hear from a lot of businesses is that social media is a waste, their content doesn't convert. The truth is your social media should be and could be a really, really powerful lead generation source for you, okay? Oh, hi, Jacqueline. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, babe. Your social media should be a really powerful lead generation source for you. If it is not, something needs to be fixed or tweaked. Because what happens, here's the quick list I jotted down beforehand, okay? So often when your social media content is not converting for you, but you're spending all this time on it and you're showing up regularly, you're left feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, confused, struggling, and broke, okay? Because it's not converting and it feels like a giant waste of time. What we want to do is we want to take you from frustrated to strategic, from overwhelmed to creative. Okay, when you feel overwhelmed, it's really hard to create new content because you start to shut down. Okay, so we want to go from frustrated to strategic, overwhelmed to creative, confused to having clarity. That clarity is massive. We want to take you from struggling to feeling aligned with your content. This is a really important one. It needs to feel good to you and your business. And most important, ladies, I'm sorry, I'm going to rank it number 1. We want to take you from feeling broke. Now, my definition of broke may not mean you're not signing any clients, but you're not hitting that income level that you want or you need. We want to take you from broke to super profitable. Okay, so here it is again. Jot them down if you need to. From frustrated to strategic, overwhelmed to creative, confused to clarity, struggling to aligned, and broke to profitable. This is what your social media content should be doing for you. Okay, grab a drink, ladies. Okay, we're getting into it. Grab pen and paper, grab a drink. I got my coffee and I got a water. So the thing is, you've seen me talk about it before too. It is super, super, super important that you show up consistently online. Okay, one of the reasons is that's what the algorithm likes to see. Okay, if you're posting, if you're using social media, I don't care even what platform, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, behind every social media platform, you're at the mercy of the algorithm. Algorithms like to see consistency. So if you show up every day for a week and then you don't show up for 4 weeks and then you show up for 2 days and then you don't show up for 2 weeks, the algorithm doesn't like that and it's not going to push your content out to as many people in your audience. The other reality is a very small percent of your audience is even going to see your posts. Okay, the more they engage with your content, the more the algorithm will show them your content. Right? You've probably, if we're all on Facebook, obviously, you're in my group. You've probably even seen this in your personal feed where you're like, oh gosh, I'm connected with so-and-so and I haven't seen anything from her in a long time. And then you look and you're like, oh, she's been posting. It just doesn't show up in my feed, right? The more you engage with people's content, the more you're going to see that content in your feed. The same goes for your audience. So consistency is super important. If you haven't been consistent with your online presence, yes, that is job number 1. Okay, but that can be done simultaneously to making sure that you're creating content that actually converts. Because what happens when you pour all this time, effort, and energy into creating content and nothing is converting for you, that's when it feels like such an energy waste. The truth is, everything we do in life, there's an energetic exchange, okay? A universal energetic exchange. And the time, effort, and energy that we pour into our businesses should be coming back to us in the form of a monetary exchange. We should feel really good about nurturing our audience, giving back to our audience, because that should be coming back to us in the form of payment, right? A financial return on our time. It's really important because that is one of the top things that I think makes entrepreneurs get really burned out and overwhelmed is when they're spending more energy than what they're seeing as a return financially. Hi, Karina. Let me know if that makes sense, guys. Drop questions if you have on that. I'm a firm believer that every single thing that we put in, we pour in, we should getting back to us. And in a business, that comes back to us in a financial return. Do we have other benefits? Of course. Does it feel great? Do I get lit up when a client hits their goals? 1000%, right? I'm not saying that there aren't other benefits, but the time and effort that we're pouring into our business to growing our business and scaling our businesses, we should be seeing a financial return on that. And if you are not, then that is a key that something needs to be tweaked inside your business because that's when burnout and overwhelm can really, really hit. Okay, so keep in mind this universal exchange. That's why I say, I've said it before and I'm going to remind you ladies right now, the number 1 metric that I measure on my posts is if it is a post where I am trying to get somebody on the phone and talk with them, the number 1 metric is, did you just get somebody on a sales call with you? Did you just get somebody on the phone with you? Did you just build another relationship? Did you just have a conversation with a goal? Okay. If you're having 500 conversations a day with people that don't care about what you're promoting, right? That's not helpful. But if you have 2 meaningful conversations a day and you just got a couple sales calls booked, that was a really good piece of content. I personally don't get all wrapped up into metrics like reach and views. I don't care how many people saw my video if nobody wants to talk to me about working together afterwards, right? Does that make sense? Hang on, looks like we had a question come in. Let me expand it. Okay. Magdalena said, Kim, what do you mean by consistently? I mean 3 times a week, every day, how often, in order to be efficient, avoiding getting crazy? Great question, Magdalena. Consistency may look different for everybody, but the algorithm does like to see consistency. If consistently for you means you're going to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then consistently post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. The more you post, different algorithms like different things, right? People will post in their stories 100 times a day on Instagram. If I were to post in this group 100 times a day, that probably wouldn't go over real well with my audience. So part of it depends on your audience and what you have capacity to do. But whatever you have capacity for, do that consistently, okay? And if you sit down one day and you write 30 days of content, but you know you're not going to be able to do that in the future, then schedule that out to go out 3 times a week, right? And you just got 10 weeks of content written. The more you show up, okay, I will say the more you show up, because remember, only a fraction of your audience is going to see your content. So it really starts to come down to how many leads do you want to be generating from that content. But you have to be aware of your capacity. So it's kind of a balancing act. There's no right or wrong answer truly, but how many leads do you want to be getting? If you want to get a lead every single day from your Instagram, then you better post every single day on your Instagram and be nurturing that, right? Nurturing that and truly getting posts that are going to convert into clients. So it's not like a hard and fast rule in my mind, because it really comes down to how many leads do you want every day from that source, or every week from that source, or every month. How many leads do you want from it? And what do you have capacity to post? And if there's a disconnect there, that can also lead to burnout, right? If you tell me you want a lead from Instagram every single day, but you're only posting on Instagram twice a month and you're not using stories, you're gonna have a really hard time getting leads from Instagram every day. So those things need to work in tandem. Great question, Magdalena. Great question. Let me grab a drink. There. So step 1, showing up consistently. Okay, that is just step 1, basic intro to a content strategy. You need to show up consistently. The other thing is, you hear me talk a lot about selling, right? Because that's what makes your business profitable. If you're not selling anything, you're not running a profitable business, period. I know I used to get a little bit triggered when people would say, you know, if you're treating it as a hobby, not a business. And thinking back, I think that triggered me because in the very early stages of my business, I didn't really know how to sell. Okay, it wasn't a skill that I had done before. I had never worked in sales before or anything like that. So I used to get triggered thinking, this is not a hobby. Like, I'm up at 4:30 in the morning. I'm working before the kids get up. I'm working like lunch breaks. I'm working when they go to bed. So that used to trigger me. But the truth is, not every entrepreneur knows how to do sales right away. That alone doesn't make your business a hobby. What does make it a hobby, though, is if you're not willing to learn the areas that you need to learn to hit your income goals. Okay, there's no shame in it. If you haven't done sales before, if you haven't done a content strategy before, there's no shame in it, but you need to be self-aware enough and you need to be a smart enough entrepreneur to realize that those are really, really important areas to grow a business. And then you have to decide what you're going to do to learn those, okay? With that said, providing value content, meaning there's no sales attached to it, okay? You're not trying to get people on a sales call. You're truly providing value to your community. What I'm doing right now is providing value to you guys, right? This is a really core piece of value content with me doing a live video. Providing value to your audience is incredibly important. But if all you are doing is providing value to your audience and you're never selling in your content, that can also lead to burnout. Because what is that content doing for you? How are you getting that energetic exchange from the universe? How are you getting a return on that time investment that you're spending creating that content for your audience to provide value and educate them? You're setting yourself up as an expert, but how is that translating into dollars into your bank account? Okay, that is always an important question to ask. The most successful entrepreneurs can trace the dollars in their bank account to what activities that they're doing. So many women that I talk to don't know what activities they're working on that actually make them profitable. So what happens is they sit down to their desk in the morning, let's say, and they're like, okay, well, what am I going to work on? And that's when they get stuck in that mode of like, oh, I'm going to tweak my colors. I'm going to rewrite this paragraph on my website. I'm going to organize my email inbox. Oh, I'm going to redo my email signature. I'm going to look up Gary Vee quotes, right? Like, these things are all stuff that we've all done. We've all spent time on. Did that just put dollars in your bank account? No, it didn't, period. So the most important thing, right, this I don't want to discount the fact that value content is important, but that's not directly bringing dollars into your bank account. So you need to have a balance there, okay? So the number one thing, showing up. I have a post that I've shared with you guys before. I'll share it again soon. I don't have it in front of me. I don't remember verbatim, but it's like you write, you post, you engage, you comment, you connect, right? Like you have conversations, you're doing all these things, but you're still not making sales. And that's when there's a disconnect, because we can pour as much energy as we want to into who our niche is, who that ideal client is, things like that. If you're not making sales, you're going to end up burnt out and you're going to end up broke. So here it is, guys. Here is the big missing piece. Actually, before we talk about that, I'm just going to quick check if anybody had any questions, because I saw some contents coming through. Hi, Crystal. Okay. Crystal said, does language have any effect? For example, most of my clients are Afrikaans, so all of my posts are in Afrikaans, but I just don't get any engagement. Should I rather post in English? I'm curious, Crystal, if your clients are actually bilingual. If they're actually bilingual. Otherwise, for some reason, your content it's not resonating. If your ideal clients speak Afrikaans, I would not think language should make any difference. The thing about posting in English is you're going to have a wider audience then, right? Because you're going to include people that speak English and don't speak Afrikaans. And forgive me to all of my amazing African women that are in here. I think it's pronounced Afrikaans, but I'm not even 100% sure. So I apologize if I'm mispronouncing that. But the point is, if you're posting in 2 languages, you're going to broaden the audience of the people that can read and connect with your content. With that said, you have a ton of ideal clients, right, that are not bilingual. I'm assuming you do. I know a lot of people over there do speak English, but I would think you have a really broad audience in your native language, the Afrikaans language. So with that said, if you're not getting any engagement on your post, something in your post is not connecting with them. And I'm guessing you could try posting in English and see what happens. Take your post and translate them to English and test it out. I'm a huge advocate that we need to do testing in our businesses, not so much trial and error, right? We're testing with a strategy behind it. So like this, for example, you can flip it to an English post it, and see if you get any different results. But bottom line, for some reason, those Afrikaans posts are not resonating with your audience. So I think it has more to do with the post than it probably does the language. Let me know if that doesn't give you some guidance, Crystal. Jacqueline said, good points. Review, reflect is necessary to check back on what we do that works 1000%. Oh, thank you, Anna. Looks like maybe you were tagging Brianna. If she's not in the group, get her in the group first, because this is this is a live only in the group, so I don't know if it actually tagged her. I can't really tell from my end right now. All right, ladies. So what is going on? If you are creating all this content, you're spinning your wheels, you're providing all this value, and you're not actually making sales from it. Typically, the missing piece, it can be 2 things, and I'm going to bring up the first one because Crystal just posted that. If you're not getting any engagement, I'm not just saying you're not getting like sales calls booked from it, but you're not getting any engagement, something is off in your content, okay? Writing content is not as easy as just sitting down and hammering something out. There's an art and there's a skill and there's strategy behind it. So that may be a piece of the process that you need to learn. Okay. If it was, how do I word it? If writing content was as easy as just throwing words on the paper, copywriters would not have a job, period. Okay. There is an art, a skill, and a strategy to writing content. That is something that I help my clients with. It's something that we dive in together, is how to actually write content that converts. So if anybody is interested in chatting about what that could look like for us to work together, we can definitely have a chat, okay? Just drop the word program whether you're catching the replay or watching this. If you drop the word program, I'll go back through the comments later and I will make sure to reach out to you and we can talk about what that would look like. Anna said, yes, oh no, I think she is in here, Anna. I think she is. It just might not show me on this side, right, that you tagged her. But I remember chatting with her. She seems awesome. Congratulations on hiring an assistant. So guys, if it is not converting, so if you're not getting any engagement at all, something is off in your content, right? If you're doing value post, even if you're trying to sell and just everything is falling flat, your content strategy, your actual content that you're writing is an issue, okay? Because if it resonates with your ideal clients, you should be getting some form of engagement, okay? So that's number 1. Next piece is that actually I might divert myself here a minute. Nope, we're gonna do that at the end. Okay, sorry guys. Second piece is you may not be selling online, right? Like if all you're producing is value content and you don't really know how to sell online, that is a piece of the problem. Because if you are selling, my bread and butter is helping women sell high ticket programs. Okay, I work with service-based businesses. So that's where my expertise is. A service-based business is typically going to close more sales if you actually hop on a sales call with somebody. Okay, have a conversation with them. Find out if you're a good fit. Find out if they're a good fit for your program. See if you're a personality fit, right? So when I'm talking about high converting content in that aspect, I'm really talking about that content should be getting a sales call booked for you. One thing that I find is a lot of women have an unrealistic expectation of how many sales calls they're going to get booked from their content, especially if they have a newer audience or if they're newer in business, okay? Number one thing to know, guys, is that your audience is going to, in general, convert better for you than using somebody else's audience. So if you have your own Facebook group, that should convert better for you than going into somebody else's Facebook group. Because the people in that other Facebook group don't know who you are. You're not the expert in that group, right? Kind of common sense. Once you think about it, right, maybe you didn't know that in the beginning, but if you think about it, it makes sense. The other thing that is really important to know is having realistic expectations around how that content is going to convert. Can you have pieces of content that go a little bit viral and convert better? Of course. When you build a really engaged audience and they know you really well, can you have content that converts better? 1000% yes. But the reality is, average stats show that for every sales post you do to your own audience, you should get one sales call booked. Okay? Again, especially if you have a newer audience, if you're newer to writing that type of content, but that is the reality of it. So if you have a group of 100 people, you should not expect to get 10 sales calls booked from your one post. Keeping in mind the fact that even if you have a pretty engaged audience, if they love you, but they're not physically engaging with your content, I've read about 2% of your audience will actually see your posts. Okay? So if you have 100 people in there and only 2% are going to see it, really unrealistic to think you're going to get 10 sales calls booked. Okay? And there are different things we can do in your content to get more people, right? Get more eyeballs on it, get people engaging more. But the bottom line is you need to have some realistic expectations set around what your content is going to do for you. So first and foremost, and then as you're tracking it, right? As you're tracking and as you're measuring, and if you know like, hey, every time I email my list, I'm going to get 3 sales calls booked, that's great because you've tracked it and you've measured it. Okay, so you have something to fall back on. But if you don't have those stats right now, if you're having a hard time getting your content to convert, then job number one, right, we're showing up consistently. Job number one is to set those realistic expectations. And if it hasn't been converting, tell yourself 1 sales call. Okay, if you send an email to your list, you should get 1 sales call booked. That can really start to reframe your mind about what your content is going to do for you right now. Okay, I see some comments coming in, so I'm going to pause here a second and look through. And let me know if you have any questions, guys. Okay, is this resonating with you? Does this make sense? Jacqueline said, I'd love to know more about your marketing background, Kim. Do you share this much? Because you're a guru. That, you know what? I don't know how often I have shared that. Yeah, I will give you a little snippet right now. And then, yeah, this might be a good conversation for the group. Maybe this is going to be a group post at some point for us to share our backgrounds because we don't all take... I'm just jotting down a note about that. We don't all take like the straight line path, right? So my educational background, guys, is in stats. Way back in my college days, I was a stats major and an econ minor. I am a self-proclaimed math geek, and I can't help it. Numbers are fun. Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Numbers are fun. Drop me some hearts if you agree that numbers are fun. I think there's like, people are usually pretty split between they love numbers and they hate numbers. I'm in the I love numbers group. So yeah, I was a stats major and an econ minor back in college. And I worked in the retirement plan industry for many, many moons. And about, 8 years ago, years ago, I started to move into a marketing role. So, I mean, here we are kind of coming up on a decade that I have been in marketing. And I think marketing is, how do I word it? Stats was super helpful for me launching my business and getting into marketing, diving into those analytics, understanding what converts, those things. But I do kind of have the right and left sides of my brain firing, which is why I love to do some of the design and the graphics and things like that. So yeah, I have been in marketing for quite a while now, although it wasn't my trade coming out of college. Thanks, Jacqueline. You're so sweet. Hi, Hortensia. I haven't seen you in ages. Oh my God, Jacqueline, SPSS, you know I did. Hilarious. All right, yes. Anna, I know you're a numbers girl. Math Geek too, Jacqueline said. I love it, ladies. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you for the question, Jacqueline. So, guys, catch the replay if you're just jumping on now. Selling is the biggest thing that is missing from the content, okay? So we talked about showing up consistently, and we talked about having realistic sales goals set around your content. The truth is, guys, if you're sharing in other people's Facebook groups, on average, you have to share in 5 Facebook groups to get 1 sales call booked, okay? That is the truth of it. 5 groups to get 1 sales call booked. And again, remember, it all starts with having really good content that resonates with your ideal clients, okay? So here's what I want us to do. We're gonna sit here, let me number these out so that I have them. Okay, good. All right, so the number one thing when you sit down to create your content, the number one thing that I want you to look at is what the goal is for that content, okay? The providing value, the value-based content is great. It educates your audience. It sets you up as an expert. It keeps your name in front of them, right? That's why we talked about how important that is. The value-based content is important, but that is still different than content that is going to grow your audience or grow your client base. And what I mean by the difference of that, if you're growing your audience, it means you're maybe adding people to your email list, making new Instagram connections, growing your TikTok, growing your Facebook group, right? We're getting more people into our world when we grow our audience. The larger the audience you have, the more engaged people you have ready to buy from you as you nurture them. They might not be ready to buy today, but they might be ready to buy from you in 3 months, 6 months, a year, right? That's why that nurture, that value content is important. Okay, so getting new leads in is gonna grow your audience. Sales emails or posts, content, is going to get that sales calendar filled, which is going to bring you clients in the door, which is going to bring the dollars into the bank account. So when you're mapping out your content strategy, you really need all 3 pieces going. Now, the same post can be used to grow your audience or to get sales calls booked. The magic piece that you change is that call to action at the end. Okay, that's one of the ways that you can do it. So, just going to jot this down so I don't forget that we chatted about it. With your content strategy, there's going to be the value piece, new leads, new clients, okay? I would say those are the top 3 goals that your content should be doing for you. So when you're creating your content strategy, you need to have these things mixed in there, and you need to know where and when you are posting them. Okay, so that call to action piece is really, really important. That is, again, this is another piece, guys. This is so much of what I help my clients with, but we dive into your specific business, and I actually share with my clients all my tricks to the trade, okay? All of my secret tips to the trade. That call to action is, I would say, the second most important line to your content. The first most important line in emails is going to be the subject line, and on something social media like Instagram, Facebook, the most important line is that first line, because those are the pieces that are going to get somebody to open that email or get somebody to click those little dots and read more. If you don't get them, if you don't capture their attention with that first little bit, you've already lost them, right? They're not going to see the magic in your post. You've already lost them. So I would say that those first lines or that subject line on email are the most important sentences that you write for your content. The second most important sentence that you write is that call to action. Because the call to action, guys, if you're new to content and you're not really sure what I'm talking about, the call to action is when you actually tell people what you want them to do. There's this horrible marketing phrase. I don't even know where I first heard it, probably about a decade ago. You'll see it other places too, but there's this horrible marketing phrase that people are stupid and lazy online. Okay? People are stupid and lazy. You need to, and what that means is we all are a little bit lazy now, right? Like we scroll super fast, we skim content, unless you have a diehard fan, or I truly believe the further somebody is into the buyer's journey, so the closer they are to making a big investment with you, then they start reading your content word for word and they're hanging on every piece and they're watching for it to come out and they open all your emails. Unless somebody is to that level, they're skimming what you write, period. They're skimming it, and they're skimming it on a teeny tiny phone screen. Okay, so that call to action is incredibly important, and it needs to be really, really clear. It needs to be so incredibly clear, and it starts with knowing what that goal is for your content. Start with that goal of what you want to do. Are you providing value? Are you getting new leads, new leads into your world, or are you actually signing clients? Okay, that call to action is so incredibly important. So you have to know how you're doing it. Okay, you have to know, and you have to know what's working with your audience. So again, guys, if you're at a place in your business where you are ready to really up level and start hitting your income goals, nailing this is one piece of my program of what I do with my clients. Drop the word program if you would just like to get information. Listen, I think y'all know me by now, okay? I'm not a sleazy salesperson. I'm not gonna hound you. My clients have to feel good about the investment, just like I have to feel good about working with my clients. So if you would like to know exactly how I help my clients get more clients and hit their income goals, drop the word program, whether you're on the live or replay, drop the word program and we can have a little DM conversation about it so I can explain to you how it works. But this is exactly, guys, having a strategy in place is exactly how I help my clients scale quickly. My client, Kristen, is freaking crushing it, and she signed on with me, I think in June she started. She signed on wanting to get her first client. She scaled so quickly, she's already hit her first $10,000 a month, and she is hiring people into her business. Okay, having a strategy in place is what can do that for you. So drop the word program if you would like the info on it, and I'm happy to share that with you. Okay, so engagement. Make sure you're showing up consistently, know what the goal is, get that content written, and having those realistic expectations, okay? One of the biggest mistakes that I see people make, I don't know if I should call it no, it is a pretty big mistake, is just writing content and then dropping a link to a landing page in it, okay? If you have a really engaged audience, okay, somebody like Rachel Hollis, right? Tony Robbins, they could probably tell you, I have a mystery package to sell you for $500 and the first 10 people that comment are gonna get it. And people would comment like that, right? Like they have a cult following because they're huge. As regular folk, like we are right now, right? We don't have a cult following of millions of people. It's completely different how they can approach it and what they can do. But I see newer entrepreneurs do this a lot where they just create a post and they put a link in there and they send them out to a landing page. People don't have a chance to get to know you from that. So take the time and put the effort in to actually have a conversation with people, okay? Talk to them before you're blasting your link out to people, and you may be amazed at how much better your content converts for you. All right, guys, drop your questions. Let me know what questions you have around this, okay? I'm gonna take a little pause here a minute. So we talked about the engagement consistency, knowing the goal, the 3 types of content. The call to action is one of the most important parts. I'm going to make this other little note too. Get your questions typed up if you have questions, guys. Otherwise, we're going to wrap this up here pretty soon. So if you have specific questions about your content, where you're showing up, your audience, how you're building it, I built in some time to take your questions, so let me know. The other thing to keep in mind, this is a little note I was going to give you. Well, if you have questions, it gives you a chance to type them up. Building relationships with people does not mean that you have to sell to them right away, okay? Period. Let that marinate a minute. Building relationships does not mean you have to sell to them right away. The problem that I see is that people who aren't comfortable with sales or aren't really sure how to do sales never end up selling to them. It almost becomes the scapegoat. This value content can be a scapegoat. Well, they say 80-20, 80% content should be value, 20% should be sales, but then you're never doing that 20%, or you're trying to do that 20% and you're getting 0 sales. Okay, the sales process, guys, this is another thing. What I do with my clients, the reason they scale so quickly is we build out their complete custom strategy to walk them through from point A to point Z. Here's how you're getting consistent clients in your business. Hey, Anna said, what are your most effective call to actions? For me, with my audience, again, it's about having those conversations with people. So it's inviting people onto a conversation with me. Okay, it's not just dropping a link. It's letting them know results that I get or results that my clients get, telling them exactly how I can help them do that, and then inviting them on a conversation with me. That is what, converts the best for me. Crystal said, ta-da, there's the problem, the links. Yeah, so guys, dropping a link in your post right away, again, if you're at Tony Robbins status or Rachel Hollis, right, they can send a link out and get a gajillion people onto it. The problem with sending a link right away is odds are it's a link to a landing page, right? It's a link to something where you're saying, buy this, sign up for this, join this. If people are just getting to know you, if they've just found you from your content, if your business is new and they don't really know what you do, they're not viewing you as an expert yet, even if they've been your Facebook friend for the last decade, right? Just because you launched a business and you know all the behind the scenes work that you've been doing for it, doesn't mean other people are instantly going to view you as an expert and be ready to throw $1,000 at you. That's the reality of it. So when you put links in your post right away and you're sending them out to a landing page, it's the kind of the equivalent of going to a blind date, right? Like somebody kind of set you up, like maybe this person found out about you because their friend is in your Facebook group, right? So it's like going out on a blind date and then being like, so you want to make out? Like you just, like, and the dude's like, well, okay, maybe dudes would say yes, but right? Like the dude says you want to make out and the girl's like, whoa, like, dude, we just got to dinner. Like I just found out who you are. I don't want to make out with you right now. That is the social media equivalent of dropping your link right into the post. Again, take what I say with a grain of salt, okay? If you've been warming your audience up for this, right? I'm not saying nobody can ever be successful with putting a link in there, but when you're not making sales, and depending on who your audience is, that is a top mistake that I see people make. They just put the link right there, and then they think that people are going to take the time, effort, and energy to click the link, read your whole page, and then decide if they want to sign up. The truth is, if your content doesn't really speak to them, they're not going to take that time to do that. Remember the horribly crude marketing phrase, people are stupid and lazy online? They're too lazy to do it. They're not, unless you have totally wowed them in your content, they're not going to take the time to click the link. Okay, good. Let me see if any other questions or comments came in. All right, awesome. Oh, you're so welcome, Anna. You're so welcome. So guys, remember, drop the word program. I am more than happy to chat with you about what it could look like if we were to build your system. I work with my clients, and at about week 5 is when most of my clients start really signing their clients using the strategy. Doesn't have to take forever. Okay, it is a myth to think that you have to struggle in business for years or even 6 months. The other mistake, and I've chatted about this a little in the group, but I'm just going to remind you guys. I've seen this mistake happen with several women where they think they have a strategy in place and they think they just have to do it longer. Guys, you'll know pretty quickly if your strategy is working, okay? So if another 6 months, 9 months, 3 months, 12 months, if time is trickling by and you are still not hitting your income goals, it means your strategy is not working, okay? And I don't say that to be harsh. I say that with complete love and respect for every woman entrepreneur out there, because it's not, right? It's not easy, and it's not easy to take that plunge and invest in yourself. But continuing to do the same thing that hasn't worked for the last 2 months is not going to magically work now. And I'm sorry, it's not because of the pandemic. Okay, that is something that a lot of entrepreneurs are falling into, of this mindset trap that people aren't buying, people aren't investing, businesses aren't growing. The truth is, my most successful clients have continued to be successful even during the pandemic. And that holds true for several clients. I told you Kristen was launching her business, right? She had her first 10K month, I think in July, with a brand new business. Okay, my client Kayla had a $20,000 week, guys, a $20,000 week during the pandemic. Okay, so it's not the pandemic. It's a broken strategy if things still aren't converting for you, and it's time for you to take a moment and really figure out what is broken in it so that you're not struggling in another month, 2 months, 6 months, 9 months. Okay, so if you are looking for help, guys, drop the word program. I'm more than happy. We'll have a little DM conversation and then see if we want to talk further. We'll just see if it sounds like something that you might be interested in. All right, guys, that is it. I don't see any other questions coming in. You're welcome, Crystal. So great to have you ladies on. Remember, if you're catching the replay, make sure to tell me that you're watching the replay. And guys, I would love for you to share. Drop a comment below and share what your biggest takeaway was from today's training. So that is it, guys. I will be answering questions on the replay for the rest of today too. So if you need to catch the replay, go ahead and do that. Bye, guys.